So yesterday I did a quick video that I'm sending out rent increases to my tenants, and a lot of you guys sent in questions based off of that post. So here's some of those questions and answers. So I responded directly to people, but so other people can have the information as well. So first of all, the question I got was, when do you send out rent increases? So for me, I send them out 60 days prior to lease termination. So I give them a notice. 60 days allows for them to plan as a family or as an individual if they can afford it, if they want to stay, if they want to leave. It also allows them to give me a notice whether they want to renew the lease or they want to cancel. If they want to cancel the lease, then that allows me time to market the property. Another thing you can do, including your leases, is include a clause that within the last month of lease expiration, you as the landlord have the right to come in and to market the property. And if you put that in there, you can reduce your vacancies, because let's say somebody's vacating in November. So that means, and they already told you that they are not going to be renewing. So the month of October, you can already start posting the ad and scheduling once a week or once every 2 weeks, getting a small group of 2-3 people to come by and come see the property. So by the time the tenant leaves November 1st, you already have your prospective tenants identified, and you're pretty much ready to go with the new tenant move-in process. So you save a lot of time and you save yourself money. So another question that came in was from people who are tenants, and they're asking, why do landlords send out rent increases? Some said, I just got a rent increase myself in the mail. So they were like, can you explain why that happens? So there's several different reasons, but a live example of, for example, I had some properties that were in one particular county. Now the properties where they were located got broken off and became their own city inside of that county. So it generated an extra tax bill that I didn't have in the previous years. So now not only do I have to pay property taxes to the county, I now have to pay property taxes to the city as well. So in this particular example, each of those properties in that city was like an extra $450 that I have to pay. So now I got to get that $450 from somewhere, right? So I'm just dividing 450 by 12 months, boom, putting that in the rent increase. But that's money not even going into my pocket. So mainly the rent increases, from my experience, are not even profit generating activities for a landlord. They're mainly break-even activities, just keeping up with the times and keeping up with the expenses. So some tenants think that, if the rent goes up, the landlord is putting that money in their pocket. But most of the scenarios, for me, not much of the rent increase actually goes to the landlord's bank account. It mainly goes to break even with expenses that are arising and basically keeping up with inflation. Another big question I got was, how much is what is a good amount to increase rent by? Now that's an arbitrary, there's no right or wrong answer to that. Typically a rent increase should be 2.5% to 3.5% annually. Now if you lock in people into 18-month contracts or 24-month contracts, you can include rent increases within those contracts. Even though they've signed a 24-month lease, you can say first 12 months rent will be X, next 12 months rent will be X. So you can put escalation clauses inside of your leases. So if it's an 18-month lease or a 24-month lease, you don't have to lock them in for the exact same price under one lease. And the way you sell that to a tenant is that you say, well, you give them an option. Are you interested in a 12, 18, or 24? So let's say they tell you, I'm interested in a 12-month lease. You can upsell them and say, If you signed an 18-month lease or a 24-month lease, we can lock in your pricing today for the next 2 years or for the next 18 months. If you sign right now, your year one will be $1,000 a month. Your year two will be $1,000 plus 3%. So that gives the tenants a way to budget. They can already predict what their expenses are going to be for rent for the next 12 to 24 months. And you can say that this is what we're offering now. If you don't sign the 18 or 24 month lease, the pricing may change when it comes to renew this lease. So this also helps you basically identify tenants who just want to stay for 12 months and leave. And if you're looking for a long-term tenant, these may not be the right people for you. So another point was, people were saying, I have tenants, but I'm scared to send them notices of rent increase because I don't want to lose them. So that's really dangerous thinking mentality. I mean, I've been a victim to that mentality myself, so I know how you feel. But what happens is, you can learn from my mistakes, and if you do not increase rents annually, what ends up happening is your tenants get caught up behind. They're behind on market pricing. So a real example is, I have a tenant who's lived there for 5 years, and in 5 years I've only increased the rent like $35. Now this person is paying $1,300 for a property that's worth $1,700, right? So you if you don't do the annual increases, you are putting yourself and your tenant way behind times, because what rent is in 2021 is obviously not what it's going to be in 2026, right? So if you're not increasing their pricing and you're just comfortable and you're cash flowing and you don't want to bother them, that's fine, but know that it's going to come back to bite you on the back end. So, and why do most landlords, why are we comfortable? Well, what happens is, when we buy properties for a good price and we are cash flowing $400, $500, $600 a month, the tenant isn't bothering us, we're sort of content and we're happy, right? But again, be careful with that mentality, because it can come around and bite you on the back end. So those were just few questions that you guys asked me about rent increases. Hope you guys learned something. Hope you can implement it into your own business, and see you on the real estate battlefield. Take care.